Hi Darryl, this is Mike from Stagecoach Road Vintage Sewing Machine, and this is your pretty Pfaff 130. What a great machine. I think you're going to like this. And this is the final test before we pack her up to ship her out to you. And in this test we're going to go over how to wind the bobbin, how to thread the machine, how to work the various controls, and just generally how to sew on this machine. And we're going to start by winding a bobbin, which you'll find down here. You can get to it from the slide plate, but it's a whole lot easier just to tip the machine back and lift the latch on the bobbin case, which is right here, and pull your bobbin out. And as long as you're holding the latch on the bobbin case, your bobbin's not going to drop out. So you let go of the latch, drop the bobbin out, and let's see, put your thread on the spool pin. And you'll notice that your bobbin has a slot in the side, actually one on either side. And when you slide the bobbin onto the bobbin winder, turn the rubber tire until the little keeper pin on the bobbin winder drops into that little slit in the side. And that holds your bobbin in place while it spins. Press down to put the rubber tire in contact with the hand wheel, because the hand wheel is what spins it. And you may have noticed that this finger here dropped into your bobbin. Now, as your bobbin fills with thread, it's going to push this latch further and further and further up until when the bobbin's full, it releases the bobbin winder and stops winding, so you don't make a big nest of thread on your sewing bench. Declutch your machine by turning the chrome knob in the center of the hand wheel towards you until you feel it hit its stop. Let's see, about a quarter turn towards you. Then that releases the hand wheel so it can spin without making the whole machine cycle. The thread from your spool goes down between the discs of the bobbin winder tensioner and up and through that slot in the side of the bobbin that we mentioned earlier. And it's always good to cut a fresh end on your thread before you try to poke it through a little hole. Otherwise, those frayed ends will resist going into the hole. So put your thread through that little slot from the inside to the outside. Hold that thread. Okay, now with the machine declutched, holding that little tail of thread that's sticking out of the bobbin, give it a little gas. Once it gets a little thread on, you can let go of that little tail and clip it off. Winding nice and evenly. That should be plenty for our test. Now reclutch your machine by tightening the chrome knob. Push this finger up to release the bobbin winder from the hand wheel. And with the thread coming off the top of the bobbin in this direction, drop it into the bobbin case. Then draw the thread up into this little slanted slot and up under the little flat leaf spring, which is your lower tension. Holding that latch out again, and with the opening in the bobbin at the top, making sure the needle's up out of the hole. Slide the bobbin case onto the shaft in the middle there, and make sure it goes all the way in. To thread the machine, take the spool from your thread, go, let's see, you can go under this thread guide, over this tensioner, and down between the discs of the tension assembly all the way around to the top, till you can pick up this little thin check spring. Then it's going to go back down and under this big thread guide. So we're going under the thread guide, over the tensioner, between the discs of the tension assembly all the way to the top, catch the check spring, then go under the big thread guide. Now go into this big curly Q thread guide, and through your take-up lever, from the right to the left. Now when you pull on your thread, you should see the check spring move back and forth. From the take-up lever, go into this thread guide on the needle plate. It just slides in from the side. Go down to this thread guide on the needle clamp, and then go through the eye of the needle from the front towards the back, and make sure your thread still has a nice end on it. It hasn't got all burred up. If it's frayed on the end, clip it off, make yourself a new end. For some reason, this maroon thread is kind of hard to see. But usually, if you put a piece of white cloth or white paper behind the needle, suddenly you can see the eye easily. There we go. Okay. Now, holding the needle thread loosely, turn the hand wheel towards you one full revolution, and the needle's going to take the thread down where the hook will pick it up, wrap it around the bobbin, and bring up your lower thread. There it is, your lower thread. Put the thread between the toes of the presser foot towards the back of the machine. That's set. You know, white, yeah, this will work great. Lower the presser foot onto the fabric using the lever in the back. Now, for setup, this is your feed drop. It drops the teeth of the feed dogs below the needle plate so that the teeth never come up high enough to move your fabric. And you do that if you want to do darning or machine embroidery or patching or applique, anything where you want to be able to move the fabric by yourself. And at the same time, if you're going to be moving the fabric yourself, loosen this adjuster for the pressure on your sewing foot, and that takes the spring pressure off the foot so that it's easier to move your fabric around. And of course, it's good to use a darning hoop for your fabric to keep it taut. And let's see. But for now, we're going to put the pressure back on. And you want just enough pressure to move your fabric along with authority without puckering up the fabric or anything. And then turn your knob to the right to raise your feed dogs again, and now your machine is moving the fabric. So turn the knob to the left to drop the feed, turn the knob back to the right to raise the feed dogs again. So that's your feed drop. This is your stitch length. There's a line right here with a 0. From the 0 mark going up, your stitches get longer and longer and longer and longer until your longest stitches are at the top. From the 0 position going down, your stitches get longer and longer and longer, but in reverse. At the 0 position, the fabric doesn't move at all, and the needle just keeps going up and down in the same spot. And it ends up making a big glob of thread under your needle plate that you have to stop and cut out. So don't try to sew in the 0 position. We'll set it about 2.5. That's a good ballpark. This is your stitch width. You have a scale of 0 to 4, 0 being straight stitch, 4 being your longest stitch. This lever here is your needle home position. You can have it to the far left in the center or to the far right. We want to just leave it right in the center, so right about there. That's about everything. Your light switch is in the back on your light, and I think I need a new bulb in there. I'll take care of that before I send her out. Okay, so stitch length is on about 2.5. Stitch width is on 0 for straight stitch. Oh, there we go. What a sweet machine. Give it a little more stitch length. Forward, reverse, forward, reverse, forward. Back to 2.5. Move the stitch width up to 4. Always make sure your needle is up out of the fabric when you do that so you don't accidentally bend a needle. Zigzag. If you take your stitch width down real short, down, let's say to about halfway between 0 and 1, suddenly that zigzag becomes a satin stitch, which just looks like a fat bar. And you might want to move stitch with down a hair more, but just make sure your fabric is still moving. This is probably as far as I can go without a satin stitch foot. Still moving, but just barely. But you see it makes a nice smooth bar. I think that's about all there is to it. Oil her after every 8 or so hours of sewing, and you'll find an oiling guide in the back of your book. Shows you all the oiling points. When you do that, it's a good idea to take off the needle plate. It has 2 screws. Take those 2 screws out, lift the needle plate off, and brush out and vacuum the dust from around the feed dogs. Most machines not only never get oiled, but they also never get brushed out around the feed dogs. So it's not like it's going to kill your machine, but if you want to maintain her, make her last for your lifetime and your children's and your grandchildren's, it's good to do that periodic maintenance. I just can't think of anything else to tell you. I'll get her packed up, change the light bulb first, get her packed up, and get her on her way home. So thank you so much, Darryl. We appreciate your patronage. You help us to keep doing what we love to do, which is this.